What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another stream. Happy Sunday, happy weekend. How's everyone doing? How was your last week? We are already in December. Basically, we are 2 weeks away from the end of the year. So that's the time that we have of trading until the end of the year. So yeah, some of you may be struggling. For some others, we may be having a positive year, and maybe it's a way to finish even stronger. Yeah, in terms of news, it's basically 2 weeks away that we have of important data. Last week we had NFP. This the week that is about to start, we're going to have CPI and several central bankers announcing their interest rate. You can take a look at the news quite quickly. We're going to be looking at RBA announcing their interest rate, expecting to remain the same. We are going to have Canada expecting a 50 basis points rate cut from 3.75 to 3.25. The unemployment in Canada last week, it was not that great, and that's maybe a concern, and it's maybe accelerating the path in here from the Bank of Canada to cut rates. Inflation, I think, has been quite okay. We have also Swiss National Bank, and then we have the ECB as well, which is expecting another 25 basis cut in here. So we'll see what's going to happen, what kind of opportunities we're going to be able to identify. It's going to be another week full of data, and then the week after that we have the Fed and the Bank of England as well announcing their interest rate, and if not mistaken also the BOG. So yeah, in terms of macroeconomic, in terms of other news, basically everything remains the same. For example, in terms of the war situation between Russia and Ukraine, nothing really has happened. Middle East as well is quite steady at this point. So yeah, let's take a look at what we can expect from the charts, which may had finally a little bit of a move in here on the dollar index. That yeah, we'll see. All right, so let's pay attention to what kind of opportunities we're going to have in here. Basically, fairly, we're going to look at the FX, US indices, crypto as well. We're going to be following Bitcoin, Ethereum mostly, and then the individual currency pairs, and also commodities with gold and oil in particular. Those are basically the ones that we're going to be following in here. Second. It should be working. Okay. All right, so let's take a look into it. Right, we always start with dollar index. Dollar index is one of the most important assets. It gives a bias to what to expect, not just across the FX, but also the indices. And we had that move, right? So we've been waiting and looking for the dollar index to actually make that move to the downside, and that ended up playing out as expected, which was good. Again, the only question that we had basically last week, we were trying to see if price by any chance on dollar index would get closer to this level, and if this level would actually hold price and create kind of a double top in here. But price didn't even manage to get that high in here. Okay, basically we managed to create this structure, and that was enough on the dollar index to hold price down and eventually break new lows. We talked about the scenario that these lows in here, basically in my opinion, were already a break to the downside, and then we were just looking to see price moving a little bit more to the downside in here, which is basically what we had in here. By the way, guys, if you're watching, just let me know if everything is okay in the stream. Kind of getting some warnings in terms of the stream. It may not be performing as well as it should. I just did an update on the OBS, so I don't think that settings are maybe 100% okay as usually they are. If everything is okay. yeah, dollar index, that's basically what we had this week, and we had that move, like, so we had NFP data was slightly better than expected at 227 thousand new jobs, opposite to 218, which was the expectation. And last month's data, we actually had a slightly higher number from those 12k. Actually, the real number was 36. It was already mentioned even last week with the conference that Pedro attended in New York, where there was a comment actually that what can we expect, like every single time the numbers of the NFP, they are being revised either up or down, so the data that's coming out is not really the real number, which makes it a little bit tricky then to kind of trade the data, kind of to analyze the real data, because it's always delayed, and then all of a sudden you have a new data, but then we need to analyze the previous data that is now being updated. But it is what it is. The fetcher part explain a little bit the difference and why it's happening. But it is a model that they've been using all the time, so that's the one that you need to keep relying on. But yeah, so we didn't manage to do that. They actually had this level in here marked. You can take a look at that since last week. And interesting enough, that's where price reacted, right? So price actually made that push down and then kind of turned. Euro dollar actually reacted from a really good level as well at the highs. But this may be just another move to downside, all right? Again, even though price may react from here, this may just be another move to downside, and maybe you can expect this dollar index to continue to push a little bit lower. Again, the question mark is price going to just go to downside from here, or should we be expecting any type of deep retracement in here on the dollar index? And that's a little bit of the question. Now, there are levels in here that you could look for. For example, this could actually be one of the zones where you could see some kind of reaction, and we are seeing that. Okay, that's basically where price reacted to Friday night, and this could be, again, this is a kind of an interesting decision point, you know, I went with a lot of support resistance on the left side that could continue to push a little bit price to downside, or at least to test some of these marking here on the dollar index. So that's something to look for. Again, we did manage to fake out this level, so that's also something to pay attention. Did price at least already retrace back into here, or how did price actually move away from this level? Maybe there's something in here that maybe price wants to visit once again before potentially moving to the upside, maybe going below that low in here. So that's something to keep an eye on the dollar index. Again, the reaction kind of a little bit yeah, it was okay kind of from this level where price reacted in there. So again, we're going to pay attention to the opening to see how price may react to. But overall, in the bigger picture, nothing really has changed comparing with last week, where we're looking for price to potentially go retrace a little bit more to the upside before moving lower. I'm a little bit more okay with where actually this low is reacting from, opposite to the low last week, because this at least closed a little bit of this range. Looking at this high in there, at least that's done. But that may not be the last level, which means that maybe price wants to go a little bit lower in here on the dollar index. In terms of the US news for next week, again, we have the CPI that's going to be on Wednesday, and then not really much. Okay, so in terms of news, it's going to be actually mostly in other countries and not exactly about the US dollar. And it's going to be Australia with interest rate decision. We are going to have Canada as well, interest rate decision, Eurozone, and Switzerland. All right, so yeah, the only news that's going to actually big news event for next week in the US is going to be only the CPI. That's going to be Wednesday, which means that we may have a little bit of a divergence between or across the different dollar pairs for next week. It's going to be interesting, and we need to pay attention to it in terms of what kind of opportunities we are going to mostly maybe look for in here. So that's what we have, and yeah, so nothing really has changed. I can continue to see a little bit more of downside on the dollar, even though this level now is a bit better, but eventually price could get a little bit closer to here. Any continuation to the downside can be from here. I have this level in here a little bit marked as well, but I'm only expecting a small reaction and then price to continue, because if price does manage to go a little bit deeper into this level, basically back into this previous range in here, personally, I do think that price wants then to at least take this double top and getting a little bit higher. So that's going to be more of what I'm going to be paying attention to in here on the dollar index. And then again, the question about this highs, is this level even going to hold price or not? Right, looking at the US indices, right? So US indices, they continue to break new all-time highs. And the move on Friday as well, it was quite good with the NFP basically reacting all the way from this level and pushing to the upside. So we had this mark in here, and we didn't really manage to break a low in this particular case. Okay, price, it looks like that it managed to respect, at least on the S&P, it managed to respect this this low and push to the upside, breaking even new all-time highs in there. And we'll see. All right, so again, as you can see, we start to have a little bit of a compression. At least price kind of has these retracements going a little bit to the extreme of the previous demand zone, which may can signal a little bit of a potential turn, or at least it gives opportunities for both traders in here to participate, either buyers or sellers. Of course, if you're a buyer, you can always expect new all-time highs, so maybe there's a different type of trade management that you can apply here. If you are selling by any chance, trying to look for reversals, and my advice wouldn't be exactly to try to catch the high or to treat this short as the top being created, more of an intraday setup and being more conservative on the way that you actually manage, or in this case actually aggressive on the way that you manage the trade, because maybe try to either take targets quicker or at least manage your trade quicker, because the likelihood at this point is still that price wants to continue to break new all-time highs. Right, but of course there's space in between, in intraday, in a lower time frame, that maybe we can try to take advantage from. Yeah, but something that is still in need in here is actually a proper break of a low, and we don't really have yet, just yet. So that's a little bit of what we have. Okay, price may break that level. In here there's maybe some orders, price may even create that level on Friday. But yeah, maybe in here there's something that we could look for. But at this point, I just want to continue to see a little bit more of new all-time highs in here before a potential move. In terms to the downside, in terms of the levels that eventually price can go towards to, again, S&P kind of moved a little bit or reacted from the levels that that makes sense where they reacted from. Maybe we can eventually fake out this double bottom. For now, of course, you do have the structure here, kind of another double bottom in there, and you have the demand zone just above it, which price can continue to respect. As you can see, it starts to be a bit more of an horizontal shape in here. Yeah, but of course, anytime this S&P can just push higher. Now, Nasdaq is a little bit different. All right, Nasdaq is a little bit different. Let me just delete everything in here. There's just a possibility of a setup in there, but price continue to then to respect these lows in here. So that's usually what you don't really want to see when there is a potential break to the downside. You don't really want to see then price creating a double bottom at that level. You want to see just a low and then price kind of retracing straight away back to the highs, which potential then to continue to break the low again, and not exactly create a strong structure in here with a double bottom, which eventually even respected one more time just before moving to the upside, respecting that level quite nicely. So that turned this one into a bullish move in here in the moment, and prices continue. Again, this structure in here, it was good to hold price, and now we have new all-time highs. Now what we have is already kind of a compression in here. So price already retested this level in here, something that it didn't really do before when it did manage to break those all-time highs from back in July or June. But we already have this reaction again, compression. It's just to keep an eye on, again, continue to follow to see how price eventually may react from here. It may just continue to go until eventually can have a little bit more of deep retracement, even back into this level, or a little bit back into here as well. All right, and then eventually can even go there. But that's a little bit more of what I'll be just tracking and following in here on the Nasdaq, which eventually could lead a little bit to a turn again. Overall, as you know, in December there used to be a rally in US indices, and we are seeing that. So that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. The Dow is moving a bit more of horizontally, kind of showing a little bit more of weakness. We still need to see a proper wall being broken in here, but you have this gap in here that eventually I would like to see the Dow appearing. Yeah, they kind of try to challenge the highs, got rejected straight away. There's a small break in there, but then get rejected straight away. And yeah, we may see how price may react from here, but it's showing a bit more bearishness, and maybe price eventually can go a little bit lower into this level. Then you have DAX. DAX is so strong at this point, breaking all-time highs on a regular basis. If you're looking at David candle, basically last week, every single day it was bullish. You already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, basically 7 bullish daily candles being created on the DAX, which starts to show a little bit of exhaustion in here. Then you may have a retracement in the next few days, basically. And that's something that we can try to identify and try to track. Right, so we are going to be able to try to follow that part. Price moving in here, kind of on a horizontal line. I eventually definitely that want to see this one being faked out. Then eventually price could challenge a little bit some of these levels in here. But that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And of course, then you're going to be looking for that typical kind of setup where maybe price can do something like that. Breaking slightly those lows, but that's definitely not the most important ones. So yeah, we'll see how price may continue to move a little bit around this level in here. Looking at crypto, all right. So crypto last week finally managed to break above 100k, so everyone was happy with it. And then you had that initial flash, basically that initial push down to scare a little bit everyone that was looking to trade the breakout setup of this 100k. All right, so again, the advice is not exactly to trade straight away the first breakout, especially when you have such a strong resistance or such a key level, a key mark that everyone is looking and anticipating, because usually that leads to this, right? And many people may have lost that initial attempt to try to trade above the 100k with this strong push to the downside, basically back to 90. And now price is back at 100k. All right, so it's been trading a little bit above 100k. So this may be a little bit of a new level of support resistance that price may find. Again, I did predict that setup or this type of move in here, even back like basically 10 days, 15 days ago, 2 weeks ago, that I was looking for it, trying to see price kind of moving down first and move up, then moving to downside. And I was even looking for price to go even below this level. Okay, I would even like to see price to feel a bit more of this range, to be honest, or even go a little bit closer into this 80k, or even to test the previous all-time high at around 74 in here, right? And then yes, then after that, then we could go all the way, finally break above again the 100k and start to sustain the move to stay above that level. At this point, I think price can fluctuate a little bit still at around this level, but yeah, let's see if this is actually kind of an engulf to downside at this point, or just something to keep an eye on for the future. But yeah, I think somewhere around this level eventually, this Bitcoin eventually going to go get towards to, and from here maybe one of those levels that we can try to jump into potential long in here to push. So yeah, that's a little bit my take in here on Bitcoin. Ethereum got really close to that previous high created back in March. I haven't really managed to break it just yet. We do see a few lows being broken in here, which price just continues to eventually now move to the upside. And we can definitely fake out that high, getting maybe something into this level a little bit higher. Basically, we're testing this 4k mark in here. Actually, already broke above 4k. That's perhaps another strong level of resistance that we are seeing now in here on Ethereum, and we'll see. All right, so I'll be surprised if price doesn't really manage to break above that level. But on the other side, you do have a few levels in here that you can pay attention to eventually if prices want to continue to go. We do have this level as well in here, so yeah, paying attention at this one for now as a potential long and potentially taking this highs. So yes, a bit more in the range. Now this is another one that you're looking for, like this Ethereum, Bitcoin, it's kind of moving exactly as predicted. Now this interesting, a small break in here of the low. You see price does want to continue to go slightly higher or not, but this could be a little bit of an indication that maybe yeah, maybe Bitcoin could gain a little bit of strength if this one actually starts moving to the downside. Like again, we predicted that move. All right, price was reacting perfectly from this level, and that led to Ethereum to start rallying, as we saw in this last couple of weeks. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Now looking at the currency indices and looking at the Euro index. All right, so overall, in my opinion, still bearish, but as expected, kind of a little bit of a retracement after such a big sell-off in these last few weeks. And we're going to have ECB on Thursday, so that's going to be definitely a focus that, or something that we're going to be paying attention to for this week. Of course, we're going to get into more details closer to Thursday. Basically, on Wednesday, you can try to predict what to expect. That's one to pay attention to. Like, are we going to be looking at this this Euro index to push higher, or just to resume the move to the downside? Like, we're going to pay attention also what key levels are being broken, and where perhaps you can anticipate that that continuation if prices want to do that, or maybe some more buying pressure in here. Again, I was even looking for price to go slightly below that level, then we managed to again to start having that break to the upside, and then price just move to the upside in here. Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one. Eventually could go, of course it could go slightly higher if price is indeed ready to turn or not. But yeah, this Euro index can provide a great clue on what to expect on Thursday's interest rate decision. And then you have the yen index, right? Yen index, it was one that we also looked for. That initial short, again, price is approaching an interesting level in here on that side. Now it did manage to break below that low, which could have opened the door to downside, but on the other side kind of brings more also buying opportunity in here. Already had broken that high as well, so good reaction from the demand zone after the zone was created, and now price basically gaining a bit more momentum to go higher. So I'm going to be curious to see how this yen index eventually could react from around this level or even here, and let's see if it holds price or not to the upside, or price starts actually continues to turn in here. Looking now at the individual currency pairs, and we are paying attention to, of course, starting with euro dollar that basically spent all week at around this range, quite similar to the dollar index. And we already talked about that this one maybe was already a little bit weak, even though it hold price in there. And we also talked about this level. Like, this level it was the one that on the pound dollar, as we've seen a bit, price had already reacted from it. So that's one of the tricky ways, or not tricky ways, that's one of the potential ways that you can take advantage when you're looking at correlation in the market. Okay, it's not just a typical correlation of to see what's the percentage of time that maybe if one pair goes up, this one's going to follow. All right, maybe the euro dollar or the pound dollar, or the opposite on euro dollar and the dollar index. But it's also in terms of looking at the levels themselves that are being created in the market across those different assets that they may be correlated. And if there's a specific zone that is being created at around the same time in different assets, and you can take a look at specifically this one, and then you see that maybe, as we saw as well last week, pound dollar reacted from this level first, and it had a good reaction, and then eventually actually already broke it. But euro dollar, as you can see, it spent a week without reacting from it, until finally with the NFP it went there, right? So if you already see one that is working and kind of providing a good signal in one asset, then you maybe can anticipate that maybe there are also some orders in the other asset that is delaying, has been delayed, and price hasn't really reacted from it, and it's only maybe reacted a couple of days later, just like it is in here. So yeah, that's just a tip in there in terms of correlation, and you can look at that across different assets. But good reaction on the one side. Again, this is maybe the engulf to the upside, which means that price may be ready to actually go even higher, considering where we are right now, even though kind of is approaching also an interesting zone in there. But this is actually kind of maybe one of the levels where this euro dollar could continue to push higher, just the same way that dollar index could continue to push lower. So yeah, if prices break below that level, then I think the door opens for price to go eventually a bit more to the downside, even though we do still have this level in here. Price didn't really reacted from it, so that's something also to consider. All right, so yeah, that's euro dollar. Aside from that, potential to go higher, definitely. Potential for price to go a little bit more to the upside and not just stop in here 100%. The same way that the price can also continue to push eventually lower, even go below this low and going something, something better in there. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Is price going to break above this level? Yes or no? Or going to gain some momentum in here? Pound dollar, right? So pound dollar, as you mentioned, again, this was the level initially that I was talking about, and where the euro dollar just reacted. Right now, as you can see, pound dollar also reacted from it. It had okay reaction. Price actually fake out this low, but now price and the pound dollar actually is moving slightly higher. All right, and it may continue. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. Kind of fake out this lows, reacting a little bit on this level, but you may eventually continue to go even higher. I don't really think that's maybe the final. Yeah, I would actually maybe wait to see price going a bit higher in here. Yeah, so that's something that we also looked for. Again, eventual price could even go a little bit below, basically just fake out that well, but it respected this one in here, and that apparently it was enough. So yeah, paying attention also on the pound dollar as it gets closer to this level in there. Now we may have a strong compression here, which eventually price can just feel it and get closer to this level. Euro pound just continues to be within this range, really close to the lows. I think that's going to be an interesting one, especially on Thursday with the ECB. I think that's something that we can't pay attention to because we may have some volatility and some momentum here on the euro pound, opposite to what you may have on the dollar. So that's one, maybe a week to pay attention to in here, and I will be paying attention to. Maybe can go a little bit further down, maybe properly fake out that structure. And then maybe we could push price higher. Yeah. All right. Now, Aussie dollar, right? That's one that we have been also paying attention to, and we have been a little bit concerned with the situation where this structure is. In this case, kind of looking to see if this actual level is being taken first before a potential turn in here. Even though we do have this kind of compression, maybe slightly break to the upside in there, in reality I was never really convinced with this low, which means that I would like to actually see that low being taken, and then yes, we can have a little bit of a move to the upside in here on the Aussie dollar. We do manage to break some structure in here. Okay, some highs being broken a little bit on the way down, and then price kind of respects the levels. Yeah, so that's something to pay attention to. Again, I would really like to see potentially this low being taken and price perhaps having that first initial reaction from there, right? We'll talk about around the 15 pips difference distance between that low and that structure. But yeah, just keep following, keep tracking Aussie dollar, and then of course you are going to be able to look at the other Aussie pairs. And bear in mind that on Tuesday you're going to have interest rate decision, so maybe tomorrow can be actually a potential good trade, especially if it is kind of a turn. that you could try to catch a reversal in here. Then we also have Euro Aussie, which we water move, right? So beautiful reaction, beautiful fake out at the below into that demand zone on the left side, kind of, which we looked at that beforehand. And now price which we filling out this price. This was already an move to the upside, so that was one. And price just really quickly went all the way to fill this openness in here, and now kind of having a little bit of a reaction. Price already reacted a little bit from those levels. There's maybe potential one last fake out in here that could push price down. Aside from that, yeah, so this Euro Aussie, that's going to be an interesting one. Again, if the Aussie dollar does want to go all the way and take that low that we have, maybe this Euro Aussie can continue to go a little bit more to the upside, even though I do like this level that is in there. I like it, but price can eventually continue to push higher. Okay, can definitely continue to go a little bit more to the upside. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something that I want to keep an eye on. Pound Aussie, that's another one, and I do believe that price already broke the high. Yeah, it's already broke the high. It's already reacting from the one next to it, and that's an interesting one. All right, price is already reacting all the way closer to this level, which eventually could even take that one as well and then go. This was actually kind of a nice move in here, and then a lot of momentum. All right, a lot of momentum being created in here. Yeah. Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on. Then you can look at New Zealand as well. So New Zealand is slightly different, as you can see from Aussie. Aussie continues to break new lows, at least the most recent lows. But New Zealand is still reacting within this structure. And I do like this structure, to be honest. I mentioned several times, I still like that level. In here, we did have that slightly high being broken in there. And as long as price is still kind of trading within this level, and I do like this one in here as well, I could see eventually the turn. Okay, we actually managed to break slightly those highs, but then price just break or kind of reversed and moved to downside straight away after reacting from that level. Another attempt to go higher, another rejection. So it's not that there aren't any buyers around this level, because there are. It's just still about finding the timing. Okay, and I really want to get a little bit even weaker, and then you may have the turn, and maybe that can be in alignment with the Aussie dollar, so eventually turning, but it may go slightly lower first. Now Aussie dollar is actually breaking structure and everything, and now this New Zealand dollar is just still within this most recent low, basically, that we have in here. And in my opinion, I think there's still kind of a chance in there to look for a reaction. So that's going to be the focus in here on the New Zealand. I do believe that we may have an interesting opportunity to trade in there. Then you have Aussie yen. Aussie yen, that's an interesting one as well. So it just continues to push to the downside. No surprise with that, and that's something that we mentioned. We talked about potential reaction here, but potentially a continuation to the downside. Maybe price even wants to go all the way and take this low, but maybe can have some kind of reaction first, and that's something that we are going to continue to keep an eye on. But so far, good approach, good reaction here from the Aussie yen. Looking at the other yen pairs, looking at the dollar yen, again, basically respecting this range. We do have that engulf to the downside or break to the downside, and we have that fake out as well. But I didn't really manage to get that closer in here, which eventually could, but now there you go, right? Back into the middle. Price is not trading just within this range. We had that move in here, perfect. So we'll see. Again, price can even retest a little bit more closer, opposite to this low, get a little bit closer in there, and then we'll see what's going to happen. Yeah, and we'll see if the continuation to the bearish to the downside is going to continue in here. Aussie or Euro Yen, right? So we turn as well in there, kind of starting to go slightly higher, and we have a little bit of a pause in here. Yeah, something to keep an eye on. Yeah, so that's basically the same thing. Now we managed to break a little bit of that level. We'll see. On the end, also the same thing. And yeah, now it's a bit in the middle. We'll see what's going to happen. There's definitely potential more room to the upside in here. But if prices want to go slightly lower, it can as well. And this may not be even the low that we're looking for. Yeah, maybe a little bit below that. We can look at Aussie CAD as well. That's another one. Prices continues to move to downside in here. A nice turn since that level. Yeah, eventually price can even continue and push a little bit lower. Yeah, that looks nice. Continue to push a little bit more to downside. At the end is another one that you can keep an eye on. Yeah, eventually price could go lower. Then we look at dollar CAD and water reaction. Again, the unemployment was not that great, and maybe because of that as well, there is a potential 50 basis point cut rate that's going to happen this Wednesday on the ECB, on the Bank of Canada. That's the projection at this point, which means that price may wants to go a little bit more to the upside. So yeah, interesting move again. That money end up respecting it, and yeah, we'll see how price may react after taking this high. Yeah, if price does go above that level, yeah, then you have the other one in here. So it looks like that may happen in here on our CAD. Euro CAD. Yeah, Euro CAD just continues. Okay, there was a really strong momentum on the CAD pairs, and Euro CAD just continues to push higher as well. So where it go, it ended up respecting this level. Again, the low, it was okay where price reacting from. Really good reversal, or strong reversal from here, to be honest. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how price may react from here, and then if it challenged there. Yeah. Eventually can even go all the way to the other side, to be honest. That would be quite nice. But there's maybe some reactions before that. Pound CAD, that's another one. Really strong, just continue to push higher. Maybe break into this compression, maybe looking for price to get a little bit closer into the next zone. Again, quite compressed now the way price closed the other on Friday, but again the move, the strong momentum, it's in here. They may go all the way through to feel this compression getting a little bit closer to that level. Dollar franc Swiss, another great move to the downside. Again, never really got closer to that level. The gap is still there, and you'll see how price may react a little bit from here. Again, you're looking for those shorts. The shorts kind of happen, and there you go. Right? Unfortunately, again, then never really got closer a little bit more towards this zone. And it just reacted from here, and it continued to push to the downside. Yeah, now this level where price basically is respecting quite nice with this demand zone. Yeah, overall can continue to push a bit more. Gold, we had some movement, but overall price is still within this range. It went a little bit more into the extreme of that level, now reacting a little bit from here. So yeah, it's still a bit indecised on which direction. I did manage to break slightly that level, but this one is here is not a bad one for sure. And yeah, we'll see which direction gold is going to eventually go towards to. Silver, not really much going on in here neither. Just literally a range. Then oil, right? So oil, that's one to keep an eye on, because I'm going to keep an eye to see if we're going to have an opportunity to look for more longs in here or not. And price has found some kind of support level at around the 66 or 65, and they are back at these levels in here. Okay, so that's something to keep an eye on. I think the OPEC members are planning to potentially cut production as well, so that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, this level is something that I want to follow and to see if price actually wants to respect or not. Potentially take these flows. The price is moving, it's been okay. And oil always has some kind of reaction here, not really just breaking completely. And maybe we can have another opportunity to potentially go all the way in there. Yeah, Brent, basically the same thing. Okay, basically the same thing in here. With one slight difference is that Brent hasn't even managed to pick out that level, which eventually could happen and push price into here again. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. That's basically it then. To conclude, basically what you're going to be looking for. It's going to be a busy week. We are running out of days of trading this year. All right, we are 2 weeks away from the end of the year, or Christmas, but basically the end of trading days. And you're going to have CPI in the US. That's the only big news that you have in the US. Then you have several interest rate decisions. RBA in Australia expecting to remain the same. Bank of Canada expecting a 50 basis points rate cut. ECB expecting a 25 basis point cut. And also the Swiss National Bank another 25 basis points rate cut. Right? That's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday. So that's going to be quite an interesting week. We may see some divergence between the dollar pairs, so you can look maybe at minors, for example, Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie can provide quite interesting opportunities. They have been quite bullish. Aussie dollar has been quite bearish. We may have a turn in there. What else? The Euro pairs as well, of course, on Thursday, something to pay attention to. I think that's going to be quite good opportunities. We are going to be talking about it throughout the week during the pre-market analysis live stream that I do every day. So join to pay attention to it, to share your ideas as well and what you are going to be looking for. But yes, so we had push downside on the dollar, push the upside on the euro and pound as well. And that's going to be interesting to see if price is going to continue in that direction or if there's going to be a little bit of a reversal at the beginning of this week. All right. That means basically euro moving a bit more to the downside and dollar moving a little bit more to the upside until maybe they find new selling orders in there. US indices, they continue to break new all-time highs. That's something to keep an eye on. Again, look for weakness. I released a video about how to trade all-time highs a few months ago, and that's something that you can look for. And yeah, so we are going to be looking for that weakness. We want to see lows being broken before even jumping into any relevant short. Otherwise, it's threat continue price to break new all-time highs. If you're positioned on that direction as long, that's something that you can take advantage from in terms of the way you're managing your own trades. Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. Basically, again, trading at around 100k after breaking it this last week. And the question mark is, are you going to resume and break new all-time highs, or it's going to suffer a little bit before moving higher? In Ethereum, they were testing the 4k level as well. The key level on the left side of the back from March. with its expectation, of course, to break that zone and try to challenge even more the previous all-time highs that we have. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to have this week. It's going to be quite interesting. Gold has been quite boring recently, just trading in this range. Intraday, of course, you can find opportunities a bit more in the weekly time frame. You haven't really seen as much volatility as we could see for the last few weeks or months on gold, so that's potentially can resume, but for now it's still not there. And the volatility, yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it. So good luck, guys, for this week. The discipline, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Obrigado.